Hey, Alistair, you're on mute.
Yeah, so just taking it off mute.
Oh. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you? We've got a few people with us now.
Yes. We'll just kick off in like a couple of minutes. How was your lunch?
Quick. I was on a call. We're working with the Michelin Science Innovation Park.
Yeah.
And running some workshops for them over the next month on value proposition design. So we had a bit of a planning session. It looks like we're going to try and do them in person, which is interesting.
Okay, cool. Socially distanced.
Yeah. Michelin have got it's a huge space, the former Michelin plant here in Dundee, and they've effectively been able to design the space. So there are huge spaces. So we're hopeful. The first session is 2 weeks today, 27th.
Cool.
And so we're hopeful that we'll be able to actually do it, because some of the folks on this call have done these workshops as well, and we're working with the campuses. I can teach it online, but the practical side is so much better if you're with people. But obviously we have to be careful and do that in a controlled and socially distant way.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting. That
should be good. There's 10 companies in the cohort.
Okay.
And the focus for the Michelin Accelerator is sustainability and energy efficiency. So got some really interesting looking businesses, and a mixture of startups, established businesses, all sorts.
Yeah, I've seen the little electric car flying around Dundee. They've got like a little BMW. Seen that around. The branding for it is quite cool. I really liked it.
So yeah, it's looking like it'll be a really interesting program to be involved with. So hopefully we get to do it in person, because it really is so much better when you can do that with people in the room.
Yeah. Alistair, are you okay to share the slides from your computer?
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's some issues with us sharing slides if you're not the host.
Yeah, I've never used Google Slides before, Andy, so I'm not sure quite. I'll present, and then I'll see if I can
present, and then a full screen should be fine.
Yep. Can you see that now?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. We're recording. We are recording as well.
Good. That's good to know. Welcome everyone to Powered by Positive, which is kind of the new Ashton McGill community initiative. We have been planning this for a little while. We've looked at different ideas and different things like B corporations, 1% for the planet, but we decided that we wanted to do our own thing and kind of have an impact on our local community and do things a bit differently. So we've decided to kick off this initiative, Powered by Positive. Alistair, do you want to kick us to the next slide?
Certainly.
Thank you. Just a quick introduction as well. Obviously, I'm Andy McGill, co-founder of Ashton McGill. We've also got.
I'm Becca. I am from Storyline Studio. I help with marketing and bringing it to life, bringing Powered by Positive to life.
Awesome. And then we've also got Alistair with us.
We got our most important guest though of them.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. He used to sleep on my lap. I'll just.
Hey Louis.
Our little helper for today.
He's our little helper. He'll just sleep the whole time. No work for a doggo, is there? So yeah, as I was saying before, Powered by Positive is our new kind of creative initiative designed to help people and the planet. It's something that we've been really passionate about, and we want to help businesses act differently, not just for our own local communities, but also for the good of the earth going forward. And we just wanted to make sure that we had kind of a collective of businesses and people that can pull together to do that. Alistair, you've spent a lot of time working with lots of different organizations that are doing some really cool things at the moment, and you've been inspired by a few of them as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously been a challenging year and a really difficult year for everybody. But I'm always inspired by how some people are able to adapt in these times, and without, well, maybe with naming a few people, but we talk often about Kate Rayworth and the work she's doing with the Donut Economics and the Donut Economics Action Lab, which launched last week. Fascinating. And then our good friends down at Civic Square in Birmingham, who just keep on knocking out the park with the work that they are doing and building communities and helping to bring people together. So I think, often out of bad comes good, and it's really just really heartwarming to see how people have tried to support one another.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think with everything that's been happening, it feels like our local communities are closer than they've ever been before. And we really, really want to support each other as well. I think that's really, really important, especially as we come out the other, or we're going to come out the other side of this. But as our local communities look to get back to what they used to be, how do we pull together and how do we change things so our businesses run for the good of our community, but not just solely for a profit for one person? And that's something we're really keen to push through this. So Becca from Story Led Studio, she's pulled together the branding for this. Alistair, do you want to head over to the next slide? And Becca's just going to talk us a little bit through the branding and how she created it. And I think it looks amazing.
Oh, thank you. So kind of wanted to create a different brand for Powered by Positive, and have it stand alone as its own brand, just to help us amplify what we do. So it'll kind of exist alongside Ashton McGill, but also be separate. So in terms of the kind of visual identity, we were going for something quite fun, quite vibrant, quite a lot of earthy colours, to inspire positivity, and the little smiley face in the logo as well embodies that kind of mission to inspire positivity. So overall, just something a bit fun, a bit cheery. If you want to hop on over to the next slide, Alistair. Colour-wise, again, quite airy and bright to inspire positive thinking, which is kind of the whole purpose behind the initiative. Drawing from nature as well, inspired by that mission of protecting people and planet, which is what we're kind of all about as well. And then if we hop on over to the next one, there's some other kind of brand pieces. We've gone for something a bit vibrant and playful, something a bit uplifting, and I guess just something led by purpose, and that's kind of what we're going for as well. Really using business as a force for good, and like that's what we were trying to convey through the kind of brand identity.
But yeah, no, I think it looks really cool. Again, a great brand designed by Becca, and something we have at Ashton McGill quite a lot is these kind of sub brands that we use. And obviously we've got the Never Settle podcast there as well. We've just finished, was it series 4?
Yeah,
we did series 4 of that. So we're going to be looking to start recording series 5 again very shortly, and Powered by Positive is going to sit alongside that really well. And I think the branding works really well for it. It really stands out, and we're looking forward to producing some lovely PDFs and ebooks on how you can be more positive as a business, and lots of different topics as well. Do you want to kick us on to the next slide, please, Alistair?
There you go.
So I think this kicks us off into, why are we doing this? And we spoke a little bit earlier about that, and it is to create change. I think for too often, a lot of businesses have been run solely for kind of the profit for one person, and potentially they've not really had a big impact on their local community. And they are run for profit. They're not run for the good of the local area. They don't contribute anything to the local area. They create waste. And we just want to flip that on its head and think that businesses should be run for the good of the local community, and should create change and inspire positivity themselves. Alistair, have you got any thoughts on this as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. We've talked about this a lot, and I know there's a couple of good friends of mine have joined us. Avril Miller's in the call now, and Tom McCallum, and we've talked often about I get the term we hear a lot just now is purpose-led business, and I think there's in the past there's sometimes been a disconnect between doing good and making profit, and making profit isn't a bad thing. It's a good thing, and it can enable a lot. One of the books I've read this summer, which I found really fascinating, over behind me here, is this book. Some of you, I know Andrew Ferguson's read this, Impact. I never get this right. I always want to go that way. Impact by Sir Ronald Cohen, and it's a fascinating read and a fascinating book. The thesis is, or the theme of the book is reshaping capitalism to drive real change, and he takes us on a journey of how as businesses we can make impact, and actually how making money, making profit can actually be a force for good. And so I think we have to watch not to disconnect making profit from from trying to do good. One can follow the other. And there's some great examples, and if anyone's interested in reading, I know Andrew has, and there's some great examples in Impact on how you can do it. And it's been quite an interesting one for us. And over the last year, Andy, you and I have talked often about the structure of Ashton McGill, and how should it be. And we've explored it quite at length, the concept of becoming a community interest company, which is an accounting business, is just unheard of. But there are things with becoming a community interest company that could potentially shackle some of the things we want to do as a business. And as we often do, I guess, with Ashton McGill, we decide to plough our own furrow. But leaning on some of the writings and thinking of Sir Ronald Cohen. And if you want to find out more about him, just Google Sir Ronald Cohen, and you'll find some great content there. He did a particularly interesting webinar over the summer with Matthew Taylor at RSA. It's worth a watch. That's what led me to buying the book. But actually, for us, using a for-profit model enables us to do much more than we could as a kick. Interestingly, and some of the tax advantages of being a for-profit business mean we can have more, and we'll maybe come on to this in a little while. But as a business, we can have more money available to do good as a for-profit business. And so that's a bit of a rambling monologue, Andy, but that's some of the stuff that I've been thinking about and reading and looking into this summer.
Yeah, I totally agree with that as well. We're all businesses at the end of the day, and yes, making money is a good thing, but it's about how you redistribute those profits. That's the important part. And yeah, I totally agree with that. Do you want to go on to the next slide, please, Alistair?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So I think this is going to be a huge part of the future of Ashton McGill. We see it sitting alongside everything we do on a yearly basis. It's going to mean a lot to us and our values, and hopefully we're going to have a really big impact on our local community as well. And it's something we're absolutely kind of like delighted to finally be getting out there. It's kind of been in the works for a little while, and we spoke before about potentially going down the route of the B Corporation or 1% for the planet. And as Alistair said, we've decided that we want to just forge our own path with this and just get on with doing our own thing. So do you want to pull us on to the next slide? And these are our values. Do you want to?
I'm just keeping an eye on the chat bar, so there's a bit of action in the chat bar. And as we go through this, today is very much setting the scene, folks, but if you have thoughts, ideas, questions, jump into the chat bar or the Q&A bar, and we will engage in that dialogue. Here you go.
Cool.
So I guess a lot of these values do align with what we stand for as Ashton McGill and as individuals. But kind of the whole kind of purpose behind Powered by Positive is to help both people and planet. And we've always loved that, and we feel like we've got quite a lot in common with, I guess, the B Corp kind of movement, in the sense where people and planet are on just as equal level footing as profit. So in terms of businesses, it's not all just about the bottom line. We have, I guess, we all have a duty to people and to our planet as well, and they should be things that we care about just as much as making a profit. And that's kind of the big driver behind this. We could have gone down the B Corp route, but again, I think this is quite like an exciting opportunity to branch out, do something different, build kind of a community around it as well. So yeah, people and planet's probably like the main two things, if you like, if you could distill it down to a couple of words. And making a difference as well. That's kind of part of our manifesto of Ashton McGill. And I guess it's just about inspiring positive change in businesses, in communities, and really inspiring that change and creating impact as well. We want to set out to actually make a change, to actually positively impact our communities and use business as a real force for good and changing the world through great ideas as well. So all great things start with an idea, and hopefully this little idea can blossom into something really wonderful. And hopefully we can all work together to kind of take those ideas and bring them into something really special. So those are kind of like our values, I guess.
Cool. Do you want to pull us on to the next slide, Alistair? Thank you. So I guess this is the next part of what Powered by Positive is going to be, and how are we going to help. So we're going to be doing a few different things. Every kind of second week, we're going to be doing a chat like this, and I see Tom's posted in the comments there, just for an idea that we can make these kind of more open and interactive. And yeah, totally agree with that. I think that would be really cool for future sessions. So we'll take that feedback and make sure in the future that our sessions are more open, as you say. And then if they're not, then there will be a recording and you can watch in your own time. So we're going to be doing an event every 2 weeks on a Tuesday at lunchtime. The sessions will typically be between 20 to 40 minutes ish. Alistair, you've been watching a lot of stuff through the RSA in that time period, and you found it really, really handy.
Yes, but yeah, again, I guess like a lot of folks over the summertime, or the last 7 months as it is now, we've all had to reset how we spend our time, how we live our lives, and doing that at home rather than being in our offices. And one of the things that I've done consciously and throughout that time is take time out for lunch. So back in the office, we would often sit at our desks, or nip out to Clark's, grab a sandwich, back to the desk, eat while you're replying to emails, and then just get on with the afternoon. That really wasn't healthy, physically or mentally. And so for me, there was a real reset button on that Monday, the 16th of March, when we started to work from home. And so every lunchtime, I tried to take an hour. Doesn't always work, but take an hour, maybe do some yoga, get downstairs, have some lunch, don't look at my email. And one of the highlights for me of that period was the RSA's webinar series, which typically Thursday lunchtime, 1 till 1:30, and they were very tight on that 30-minute time frame. Great conversations like Sir Philip Cohen and a whole bunch of other people. And yeah, I really liked that 30 minutes because I could sit and have my lunch. And you know, I take Tom's point. One of the things I liked about RSA though was the fact that I could just switch the camera off. I could watch or listen to a conversation and a discussion, get involved in it. I could put my camera on and sit in on it as well if I want. So I think for me that time frame is nice. We're not eating into too much of people's time. We've done various events as AM over the years, and I do miss our ID8 breakfasts, partly because the breakfast spread was so bloody good. But also we got to see people. And so I think we'll continue to, as this unfolds and evolves, we'll iterate, we'll adapt, we'll do different things. We'll have interviews, we'll have conversations. And sometimes we'll, just as we were doing through COVID with our client base, sometimes we'll just rock up and have a very open conversation and dialogue based on what people want to talk about today.
Absolutely. So yeah, we'll have those events every couple of weeks, and we can change the format around depending on what's happening. We're going to be having speakers as well, which would be really cool, just to chat about different things, different ideas, new ways of thinking about things. And I'm really excited to announce some of the guests we've got lined up in due course. We're also going to be launching a kind of Powered by Positive program where we'll open it up for applications, as well as it will invite some organizations as well. And as part of that, there's funding from us for organizations to do good things, as well as just time from our team, whether that's business strategy, help with accounting things. And we really want to target that at people that potentially don't have opportunities to go and set up businesses and don't have the means to do that. We'd love to be able to help and fund, but then also support and give our time and support them through that journey. And that is something we love to do. We love to work with businesses, social enterprises, and we can't wait to have the opportunity to support people. Now we have capacity within the team, which is going to be really cool as well. And we're really looking forward to working with some really cool organizations.
I think that's a big part of why we decided to do this rather than plow down the B Corp. I mean, the B Corp, I think we all got really inspired. We went to Impact Summit back in the summer. So one of the other things we've done as a group is over the last 7 months is we've tried to go to events. We've tried to switch on our computers and look at different screens. But one of the events we went to maybe around June time was Impact Summit. Bruce Walker organized and had some fantastic speakers. I think it was Mary's Meals, the CEO from Mary's Meals, inspired all of us with his story about B Corp. And we looked at B Corp before, and it's a brilliant, for those of you that don't know, I would encourage you to go Google and search for B Corp. And it's a great program that essentially certifies an organization's ethical, sustainable, climate-focused practices, but it's also quite tightly controls what you can, what you do within that. And we don't like controls. We like to challenge the status quo and adapt and pick the best bits from everything. So one of the other groups we'd looked at this summer was 1% for the Planet, and clients of ours at Meander they're part of 1% for the Planet. Chapter 3, I know it's certainly David's vision for Chapter 3 to be within 1% for the Planet, where you generate, for those of you again that don't know, 1% for the Planet is a program where organizations that sign up for it was created by the founder of Patagonia, Yves, and I can never pronounce his surname, Chouinard. Created it as an organization and a movement, and donates and so the organizations that participate donate 1% of their revenues to climate charities, and we love the idea of that. But again, one of the things that's really important to us as people is that we can support some of those global organizations, but we also want to make a difference in the communities that we live in, that we work in, that our clients make their livings within. And so, I think that was the shift for us, to recognize the good that these different organizations do, but adapt it for us.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Alistair.
Sorry, monologue again.
Do you want to move us on to the next slide, please?
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Thank you. So this is kind of what's happening over the next month. We've got a couple of events in the diary already. I think the next one's on the 27th, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And we're going to have Becca from Story Led Studio taking us through storytelling for businesses, and helping us come up with ideas for storytelling and how do we tell these stories, and how do we communicate this new way of thinking to people. And we're really looking forward to that. We've also got Avril Miller on the 10th of November. Can't believe we're getting into November. Alistair, you worked with Avril quite closely recently, haven't you? And you've just been inspired by her. I have.
Avril is quite a lady. I'm really looking forward, Avril, to having you on with us and having a conversation, having a discussion, and sharing some thoughts on, I guess, how we've all experienced the last few months and how our businesses might evolve beyond that. So that should be a fun conversation. And 10th of November we'll have the. I've got my cozy jumper on already. Goodness knows what it'll be like by the 10th of November, but that will be a fun day as well.
And we'll also be opening up applications and sending out some invitations into our Powered by Positive community as well, which of course you're all more than welcome to join us. As part of that, as I mentioned before, there will be funding available for organizations with ideas that help people on the planet. So if that's something you have in mind, please let us know. Let us know what you want to do, and we'll see how we can support you in that, whether it's through funding or whether it's through us giving our time. We'd love to help.
I think one of the things people can do, Andy, I mean, we're sharing this with a number of people today, is to help us amplify this and to share it wider, further and wider, and tell the stories of what Powered by Positive's about, and who it might be able to help.
I think as well, I think this is something that's definitely going to evolve over time, and it's probably might look slightly different in 6 months' time, but I think that's great, and I think this is something that should be taken by a community and work with us to promote it and bring people into it as well. I think it's really cool, and if hopefully we can inspire you to do the same thing in your community, that's what we'd love. That's kind of one of the goals at the end of this, is to help people help their local communities as well, and do some really cool events in the future as well, once we're allowed back to meet each other properly. I remember listening to a podcast once, and there was called it like a fix it cafe. So you'd bring something that's broken in the hope that there was someone else there that had the potential to fix that. So, right, Alistair is an expert in bicycles. Someone brings a bike along and they've got a chain that's broken and the tire is broken. Well, Alistair knows how to fix that. So instead of buying something new, let's take what we've got, fix it, and then move on. And I just love that way of thinking, and it's going to be so cool to do stuff like that when we're allowed.
Have you seen it's an initiative of Civic Square down in Birmingham, but it's their event called the Front Room.
Yeah, I remember we were speaking about this.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, you can find the Front Room on Twitter. The Front Room operates essentially as a pop-up cafe run out of a barge in a place called Port Loop in Birmingham. It looks lovely. And actually, if you check out their Instagram, the cakes look amazing, and the coffee looks amazing. And I think they're now open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. But you can rock up on a Monday, and as Andy said, if you need your bike fixed, there'll be someone there that'll help you fix your bike. They've got like a book club, and you can swap books. And I think one of the things I love about what Civic Square are doing as an organization is just bringing people together and bringing communities together, obviously in a socially distant, safe manner. And they're in Birmingham, remember, and Birmingham's been one of the most locked down cities in the country, and yet they've managed to maintain that. And I think one of the things I've loved about getting to know Emmy and the team at Civic Square is how they have a desire to help people in these difficult times, and just being able to know that you can go there on a Monday morning, because a lot of stuff shuts on a Monday, and that's consciously why they're open on a Monday, to be there. And if you just want to go and talk to somebody, because you might be lonely, you might not have a network around you, you can go and talk. You have a coffee and an amazing cake. I'm trying to find a reason to go to Birmingham. It's a bloody long cycle, so I don't want to go there anytime soon. But
cake by the time you cycled there, Alistair.
We need a few cakes by then, Becca. Yeah. But I think one of the things we want to do, as much as we would ask people to amplify what we're trying to do with this initiative, but is to amplify others and tell the stories of others that are doing great work. And again, I know Tom, and we need to get Tom McCallum on at some point, because Tom has so much value to add, so many stories to tell. If you don't know Tom and aren't following Tom, then check Tom out on Twitter. Twitter's probably the best place, and then LinkedIn. And Tom's still doing his daily blog. There's so much inspiration to take from that, and it's a guy with a huge amount of experience and wisdom. And so, yeah, I think part of it for us is amplifying others as well as having others amplify us.
And I think that's why the storytelling side of it's so important, and that's something we're really keen to do. And Becca will be taking us through some storytelling stuff in a couple of weeks, which is going to be really cool. I'm really looking forward to it. So I think, has anyone got any questions for us? Please let us know if you have any questions. You can pop them in the chat bar, and we can try and answer some. Even if you have suggestions of guests or people you'd like to come on, if you'd like to come on yourself, we'd love to just host like a panelist type thing. as Tom mentioned before, just a really open conversation as well. I think these types of things are really cool.
Yeah. Again, I mean, I guess today is a bit of a launch event for us to share this with you, to gather and capture feedback and thoughts and ideas, and then together to shape this for the way forward. Because, yeah, I think that as with all of these things, the power of the community is what will make it something special. I noticed Tom's just dropped his details out. So Tom came in on Twitter, tommccallum.com for the blog. And yeah, just have a quick run through the chat bar. It's great to have so many of you with us today. I'm really grateful for you taking some time out over lunchtime. I think lunchtimes seems a good time. We're steering clear of Thursdays. RSA are still running their events on a Thursday. And actually, you can, even if you're not a member or a fellow of the RSA, you can drop in on their sessions. They're generally 30 minutes long. They're broadcast live on YouTube, and yeah, there's some fascinating content. Everything is there as back episodes. So again, if you want to go back and watch some of those, I'd encourage you to do it. I mean, in terms of community, Andy, I know we had talked perhaps about using Mobilize. Is your thinking that we should continue to do that in the future?
Yeah, we've used Mobilize before. We found it really good, and I think going forward after our kind of launch day today and gather some feedback was just to say, you know, what kind of platforms do people like? There's obviously things like Slack out there as well, which a lot of people use. But there's also things like Mobilize as well. So it's something that we will be getting set up, and there'll be that kind of interactive community where we'll be able to share graphics and other material that you'll be able to use yourself. I see Tom was as well saying about mention of the grants to businesses as well. More detail obviously will come out about that over the next couple of weeks. We're just getting everything set up at the moment, and we're really looking forward to getting that out and getting applications in, but then also inviting in some organizations that we're really inspired by as well in our local community.
I think the choice of platform is an interesting one. We use Mobilize. So for those that don't know, over COVID, one of our responses to COVID was to create a free course. We created a 10-week business model innovation course program, and we delivered some of that ourselves. We had experts from all over the world that came and joined us and delivered. All of us gave our time for free. We raised some money for the NHS, and we really were just trying to help people think differently about their businesses, their business models, and how they might respond to the challenge of COVID. And we supported that program. It was like we ran those on a Monday afternoon generally for an hour over a 10-week period. And we used Mobilize as a platform to support that. And so after each session, we would share the recording in Mobilize. We would share any notes, any links, and that sort of thing. So Mobilize was the tool that we chose to use for that. Andy's mentioned Slack. We use Slack in our business. I know a number of other people on here use Slack. And so before we dive headlong into setting up another platform, it'd be interesting to hear what people's thoughts are and help us shape the right platform for this. Yeah.
Cool. Do you have any final thoughts, Alistair?
I think I'm just really excited to get this out there today. You know, we've talked about it internally at AM for quite some time about doing something. We've used lots of different working titles, but you know, Becca's helped us shape it into something meaningful and beautiful. And really now, you know, now that we've shared this, we'll start to put a lot more detail around how things are going to work in the weeks and months ahead. I guess but it's a collaborative process. This isn't just about us delivering something. We want to make this, it's kind of co-created with the community. So it's an initiative that's born out of Ashton McGill, and funding for the programs will come from us and with some of our partners. But actually the strength of it will be, as we said before, will be from that community. And so as we design it, co-create it, build it together and evolve it together, I think that's where, you know, it becomes really powerful, Andy.
Perfect. Right, I think if there's no more questions then, I think we'll just finish up there. Please keep an eye out on all of the Ashton McGill social channels. We'll be posting more details and more specifics shortly in terms of how you can get involved and what you can do. But thank you all so much for joining us today as well. We really appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us during Tuesday lunchtime, and hope you have a great rest of the week.
Great. Thanks, folks. Andy, I will stop this now and pause the recording.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks. Cheerio.
Bye.